that I'm also a person with a disability, so this space is so safe for you. You can express yourself because we learn through each other, and also because we're learning about disability through communication, through how we interact with the people. That's how we get to understand more about disability. So feel free to use the chat. It's going to be an interactive session. Do not fear to say anything, because that's where we are going to correct maybe the terminologies that you've been using to refer to yourself, and or maybe referring to other people with a disability. And the reason as why we're here is to make disability awareness. Yeah, because what I know, and some of you who have disability might concur with me, is that in as much as we have disability, we do not know everything about disability. And so understanding disability inclusion, and which we are starting with awareness, is one of the best way first to be able to understand how fast you can get support, or how best you can also accommodate other people without a disability, because it's not just us people with the disability need to be accommodated. We all see that in this world there's so much diversity that we need to accommodate. So it's going to be a nice session. We'll make sure that you get value of this time, and as well as next week. So I will start with defining, and this question that I'm going to ask, feel free to answer in a way that you want to answer it. You don't have to be correct, because we are here first to learn. And there's something else I normally say when I'm doing this session: we are here to learn. This is what you think. Sound, please. Am I audible, Elvis? Jeremiah?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Somebody is saying audio, please. I don't know whether it's my side.
You're also audible on my side.
Okay.
I'll chat with Jeremiah and try to assist him as you continue.
Okay, please. So I was saying that we also going to relearn. There's something maybe you think is right way to approach inclusion or disability, and maybe it's not the right way. So we're going to see this on a human right perspective. So this session is focusing on human right perspective. So on the chart, maybe you can tell us what is disability. What do you understand by disability? Karibu sana Yegon. At least I can see you on my right. Yegon, Titus, and everybody. Feel free to chat. What is disability? How do you understand by term disability? Because once you understand the term disability, is the best thing. You're able to navigate the other aspect. What is disability? I'm waiting for a chat. I just need 3 people at least to tell me what is disability. How do they define disability? By the way, if you're not able to speak, you to write, feel free also to unmute. What is disability? Everyone, this question is open to all of us, including Anne. Impairment from optimal functioning. Impairment from optimal functioning. Someone else, thank you. Disability means a limitation in doing some activity because of a physical, sensory, or mental condition. Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you so much, Bakhoya. Oh, in case I'm not able to pronounce very well, forgive me. Disability is a condition that make a part sense or an organ not to function as expected. Thank you so much. That's also good. Um, someone, the last one is Sifungia mtu. The last one. The last one. Okay, and please note, okay. Disability is a state or condition where a person is limited in carrying normal activity, can be physical or mental. Okay, those are very good responses. Oh, the last one. The last one. No. Disability is a mental, is an impairment, sorry. Disability is an impairment plus barrier. Who is that? Joseph Diego. Talking like an expert. Thank you. So, exactly. Actually, that is disability. Limitation is one way or another. Limitation in one way or another. Thank you so much for participating in that session. So, what is disability? Convention of Right of Persons with Disability define disability as um, long-term physical, mental, intellectual, sensory impairment that in interaction with the various barriers may hinder full and effective participation in society on equal basis. So what does that mean? Somebody is also saying that disability is a condition making person harder to perform certain activity. It is a condition that makes someone not to function in proper way, but has a differently able to do it in a unique way. I like the responses. Thank you so much. There's a hands-on from Anne. Yeah, Anne, kindly unmute.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so disability is a malfunction of the part of the body. Thank you.
Amalda?
Malfunctioning
Or malfunctioning. Okay. Thank you so much,
of the
Anne.
part of the body.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. You can put your hands down. Actually, there's impairment and there's a disability. Those are two different. Someone can have an impairment, but they don't have a disability. I know that might sound complex, but you're going to see. Because according to this definition, according to UN, Convention of Right of Persons with Disability, and the reason why we are using international, this international is because uh, different people were trying to define different disability in a different way until the United Nations came up with this definition in a human right perspective. So what we understand is that one, you have impairment. And what is impairment? Take an example of our bodies. We have hands, we have eyes, we have ears, we have legs, we have all the body parts. But once these body parts are limited in their function, either total, that's why we have maybe people who are visually impairment total, there are those who can see partially. So this body part can be partially or fully or total limited in their function. So that is impairment. At this point, we are not talking about disability. We're just talking about impairment. For example, myself, I have a physical impairment. I'm not able to walk because my feet or my legs are limited in their function. At this point, I don't have a disability. So how does disability comes in? Disability comes when Grace, for example, who have a physical disability, is not able, for example, to access fourth floor because there's a barrier. And in this case, maybe the barrier is a lack of ramp, is a lack of lift. So we must first agree that we acquire disability because of barriers. Okay, so impairment, either we we get it through, maybe we are born with it or we acquire. And what I want to emphasize here about impairment is that impairment is a part of world diversity. It should not be a problem. Having an impairment should never be a problem. Because why am I saying it should never be a problem? It should never be a problem because you don't decide on whether to have an impairment or not. It's either you acquire it through accident, through sickness, through many things, or you're born with it. Just the way people do not decide whether to be born as girls or boys. Just the way we do not decide, we did not decide either to be born as a Kikuyu or a Kalenjin or a Luya or a Kamba. You just found yourself that way. Is a world diversity. There are those who are tall, there are those who are not tall. A world diversity. Yeah. So once you have impairment, and it's good because I'm speaking to people with the different impairment. First, having an impairment should never be a problem. So where is the problem? Problem is people seeing you as a problem or seeing disability as a problem. Okay? So we must realize that having an impairment is not a problem, but how people perceive it, how people, the attitude around the disability, that is the problem. Okay? So kindly give me a thumbs up on the chat if we are together of how you acquire disability. First, tumesema impairment is a limitation of body organs. Once this impairment experience barrier, for those people with maybe hearing impairment, the barrier is lack of sign language. Thank you so much, Queen. For those people maybe with visual impairment, the barrier might be, for example, braille in school, for example, maybe technology that do not support them to function properly. Those are the barriers. But if people with the disability, including me, the barriers are removed, we are able to function like other people. The reason why, even when we were defining disability, we were saying, some of people are saying like, you are not able to do. Disability is when you're not able to do. Where does this limitation comes in? It comes in because there's a barrier. It can be technological barrier. It can be physical environment. I believe people with with the visual impairment here, if our roads are designed in a way that it can support you, like there's a pavement well done, you can go to shop and buy your things because you're guided by that path. But because there's no path, you are worried to go outside and get knocked by a motorbike, for example, because we do not have the structures, we do not have system that supports us. So those are the barriers. I hope we understand that. And the reason why we are here is for us to understand how can we remove the barriers so that we can function like other people. How can you be able to advocate for removal of barrier using either legal system, as we're going to see next week, because we have a legal system of how we can request maybe the government and the other institution to remove this barrier for us to be able to function properly. Maybe it's a workspace, maybe in education, maybe in a transport system, and all these things. So thank you so much for the thumbs up. I believe we are together, that we understand disability. And takeaway here is we are not the problem. Impairment is not a problem. The problem is the barriers. And this barrier can be even the negative attitude that people have towards us, people with a disability. It can be infrastructure, it can be communication. How do people communicate to people with a disability? How are the system? How are the technology? How are we able to receive the information? Is it accessible to us as people with a disability? So you need to understand also which barrier am I experiencing as someone with a disability, and how can I be able to address that? How can I able to advocate for myself as well? So thank you so much. I took a lot of time because this definition and understanding of barriers and understanding of impairment is going to lay a foundation for our conversation. So we can go ahead, Elvis. That one I have just said it, that it's impairment is a limit. You can go back. Impairment is a limited or total loss of functioning in part of the body, organ, or the whole body. It can be an organ like hands, it can be eye, it can be any part of the body or the whole body. Thank you. Next. And that leads to defining the barriers. And tukasema barrier is any hindrance. It's a block, it's an obstacle that hinder you as a person with the disability from accessing three things. One, what is barrier doing to you? It's making you not to access your rights. Because apart from you having an impairment or having a disability, we are human. So we are supposed to access all our rights. Number two, what we are not able to access because we have a disability, it's opportunity. And I thank EBU because they were able to make the platforms accessible for you to access opportunity, which is the courses that some of you have already accessed in their website. So other things is services. It can be medical service. It can be maybe we have girls here who have disability. For example, are you able to access health services? Yeah. For example, if you need, for example, you are pregnant and you go to hospital to get maybe services like other people, reproductive health services. How does nurses handle you? How do they take care of you? Do you feel you are able to access this service like other people without disability? So one of the things that we have challenge in accessing our rights, and our rights is maybe a discussion on another day, because it's not just a right, because you need to access this right based on your needs. Let me give an example about that. For example, we have a right to education, which is a right to every child in this country. But are the children with the disability able to access that right? No, because they do not have reasonable accommodations that will help them to access that right. Yes, somebody with a child with maybe, for example, a visual impairment can go to school, but if there's no materials, there's no resources that can support that person to access that education. So even in as much as you have been given that opportunity to go to school, then you have not accessed the education. So you need also to understand that. So in a simple term, if someone asks you what is disability, you will say it's an impairment. When that impairment multiplied by barriers, it results to disability. And for all of us, I know after this day and next week, we'll be in disability inclusion champions, because we understand we need to focus on the removing of barriers in wherever we are, whether in our homes, whether it's in our community, whether it's in our churches, whether it's in our small groups that we have, just to help you able to participate fully. All other people who will be born with a disability will find a better place for you, for them to live in. So we can go next. Thank you so much, Grace, my namesake. So type of disability, I will not focus so much on this, because I know you can go to internet and you can be able to access a lot of information about types of impairment. What I want to emphasize here, I want to say that not all disability are visible. Majority actually are invisible. And what happened when we have people, uh, yeah, thank you so much, Queen. You will. And we are in the process of becoming, all of us, disability inclusion advocates. So not all disability are visible. Most of the disability are not assessed. And so those people, they end up not getting reasonable accommodation. For example, if you have hearing impairment, you are able to request for reasonable accommodation. But I think for someone who has epilepsy, you can't just tell this person has an epilepsy. So how do you tailor their reasonable accommodation? There are people with bipolar, for example. How can we be able even to accommodate? So whenever we think about disability inclusion, let's not just think about ourselves, because there are so many people who have disability and they don't know that they have disability, and therefore they do not get the support. According to World Health Organization, they say that there are more than 200 types of impairment that exist in the world. But if all of us we start counting the ones we know, we are going to count so less. So it means majority of them, they are invisible. So this is a homework. Kindly go and do a lot of research around people with a different impairment, and that information I can sure it's available on the internet. So what happened is, for you to be able to say this person has a disability and this person doesn't have a disability, they have to be assessed by, in Kenya, National Council of Persons with a Disability. And that's how we end up getting the maybe disability card, or disability now it's a certificate you get on eCitizen. So that certificate, you have to have it for you to certify that this person has a disability. And I hope all of us we have them. If you do not have them, I encourage you, so that you can be able to get including speech impairment. There are so many, my dear. So you can go and keep on researching around them. So that's another assignment, to keep on digging more about it. So barriers, let's focus on barriers. And I said I will categorize them into four barriers. So one, physical barriers. And I will not focus so much on this, because majority of them, this is what we are able to see. And most of people they assume that the only barriers that as people with the disability we experience is a physical barriers. And I will use an example. For example, myself, and I will use myself. If Grace, who is using wheelchair, because I have a spina bifida, so I'm not able to walk, I use assistive device, wheelchair. If I go to town, or maybe you invite me maybe I have gone to the website where they're offering jobs, and I have applied jobs. Then they invite me for example, an interview in town, and the interview is taking place maybe in second floor. What happened is that I have lost so many opportunity, because I'm not able to access those places. If those people they are not kind enough maybe to schedule the interviews on the online virtually, then it means I will lose that opportunity. The meeting, most of the time where they're happening, think about how we experience this barrier as people mostly with the physical disability, and also people with the hearing impairment, because they also need accessibility, and also people with the visual impairment as well. To have a visual impairment, you need a very accessible, not places where there's a pothole, there's no pavement, there's congestion, there's no places where there's a lot of disorganized. So you find that we experience, and most of the time we are not able to access these places. Maybe it's a places of entertainment. It means you lose that opportunity to, for example, maybe which artist in Kenya, maybe the Owen is coming to Nakuru, and is in a certain hotel. I'm supposed to be part of that entertainment event, but I sometimes I don't get to go there, because not because I don't want, but because the places they are not accessible. Maybe it's a working place, and we end up losing these opportunities around us. It can be emotional need. They end up not being met. It might be physical need. Maybe you are in town, you're hungry, you need to eat. So what happened most of time for me, I will end up buying something, snacks, and eat, not because I wanted, but because even those hotels, they are in the second floor where it cannot be able to access. Those are the challenges that we face, and the barriers that we experience, where we found that most of the places there's no ramps, there's no lift, there's no pavement. And if there are those pavements, sometimes you find in town, like people sell their product on the pavement. It's upon us to speak about it, because I end up using Josephine, it's okay, thank you. I end up like not going those places because I'll feel so insecure that I have to compete with the motorbike and cars on my wheelchair to use those. And I know even people with the visual impairment can attest that it's so difficult to move on those places. So we have that right to access places, but we find that this right is not accessible to us. So number two, I said I'm not going to focus so much on that physical, because we have a standard of how things should look like. And I'm going to share a tool with Anne to share with all of us that shows how environment should look like. If it's a RAM, for example, how should a RAM be? Inafaa kujengwa aje? So that when I'm using, I don't get to fall. Yeah, maybe it's so stiff in that hata ukienda tu kujisukuma unaanguka na nyuma, you get like you fall from back. So it's some of these things, even how they are doing it, they are not up to standards on in the maybe the doors. How many times I have not be able to enter places because the doors, they are not accessible, just the door. Think about maybe the washrooms. Yeah, I can assure very few places I'll get a washroom that I'll be able to use by my own self. Those are the challenges, especially for people with the physical disability will experience. There's aspect of safety. It's not just for people with this physical disability, even for people with the visual impairment. You need to be in a place where there's safety, where you feel like if, as you navigate, you're safe. You're not going to incur more injuries. Yeah, we need to advocate for this removal, the removal of this barrier. But I'm going to share a tool that you can be able to use or to advocate for accessibility with, because there is that standard. If it's a washroom, how is it going to be? How is it supposed to be designed? There's a standard. Yeah, so for you to understand that, it's very important, so that when you go to your church, for example, to tell them we need a washroom that is accessible to persons with disability, you have a tool, you provide that tool. Because maybe the church also, they don't have this knowledge. Yeah, they will build a toilet, but they don't know that the door for persons with a disability is supposed to open from outside. You see, because if it's opening from inside, and Grace, who is using wheelchair, will go inside with my wheelchair, and I will block the door. So I will have to use the door when open. Those are the information that we need to understand, and so that when we are advocating for inclusion or removal of barrier, for example, physical barriers, we have that information. Are we together? If you're together, give me a thumbs up that you understand physical barriers. But I'm going also to share a tool with you so that you can learn more, because it's a big tool. Thank you so much. Yes, I agree with you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah is saying that there's a lot of confusion concerning ramp, the constant slope. Sorry, they call they they construct slope. Actually, it's a slope instead of a ramp, and call them ramps. There's a lot of ignorance, but we do not want to use this method I call throwing stone. Don't throw stones. Don't go to church and tell them you're bad people. Don't go to that workplace, and then you start saying you're bad. What is kind of a ram are you building? Some of them, they don't know also. We need to be first to inform them, because it's us, it's affecting us. So we understand better than them. And some of these people, some of these barriers, they do not know that it's a barrier because it's not affecting them. We have a lived experience. So when we're going to the field, even to advocate for us and others as well, just use the information that is right, and advise them, because you'll tell them to construct a toilet, they'll just construct. They do not know the height in which the handrail maybe it should be. Yeah, they do not know. So let's also be gracious and also support them in terms of information. So thank you so much. Let's go to the next barrier. Yeah, the gradients and the sizes of ramps is the problem. The tool will have all those measurements, including the measurement for the door. So be patient with that, because I'm going to share. I'm graciously going to share with you the tool that you can be able to. Not my tool, is a standard tool for the whole, that guide the whole world. Yeah, it's a standard tool. So communication barrier. Let's talk about this. Uh, Yes. Communication barriers. And what I realize is that communication barriers, people think about the sign language interpreter. When you think about communication, people think about people with hearing impairment. That is just one. But all of us, we need communication being uh, maybe simple. Some of us need um, uh, simple messages, for us to be able to understand, especially for people with a psychosocial disability and learning disability. They need simplified information for them to be able to internalize them and understand them. So communication barriers is not just it's not just for people with hearing impairment and people with visual impairment, because most of the organization will go direct. Oh, we need braille, we need to have a sign language interpreter, which is very good, but it's more than that. What about people with psychosocial disability and people with the learning disability? It's not like they cannot understand information, but just the way the information is being presented, it may not be uh, more accessible to them. So when you talk about communication, it's very, very important, because think about, for example, jobs. How do we access information about jobs? Maybe for people with visual impairment. Maybe I don't know whether we have someone with a visual impairment who have a lived experience of how they access the information, because I know it's a challenge of how we do videos, how we do videos without caption, uh, without combining with the text. Maybe how we do not even describe a poster. Maybe you're advertising for jobs, they are advertising for jobs, and then it's an inform of a poster, and maybe your device, maybe your NVDA, or how do you call the other one that you use on the phone? How do you call it? Yeah, maybe it's not able to describe for you what is it on the poster, and you end up not. Yeah, Anne and Ida, you can go first. Your hands is up so that Ida, do you want to say something? Or Anne? Okay, no problem. Yes, yes, there's that challenge. There's that challenge of accessing the information on posters. So if you must do a poster, for example, even on our personal daily post that we do, maybe on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever. It's good to include the text. What describe how does that maybe poster look like, what it entails, and everything. Because people with a visual impairment will not able to access it. The device that is used in their phone, on their phone and laptop, being either NVDA or those JAWS and yes. they are not accessible. So is the information
Sorry,
we also.
I was trying to unmute myself.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Hello.
Hello?
Um, Thank you so much for being here. So we need to be conversant with how we are doing those posts. Are they accessible to persons with disability? How we do even WhatsApp status? What do we? How we post those things? Maybe there's somebody who is missing information. We are posting there. So information is not just for people with hearing impairment. It's for people who maybe need simplified information. It can be people who need to access the caption, to access the posters, maybe for job opportunity or for any other purpose. So it's something that we need to to understand how we can be more accommodative, especially when we're doing on our social media. Because when we are putting information on our social media, it's meant for everyone. So that's another area. Let's go to another barrier that we face. Uh, that is policy barriers. I'm not going to focus so much here, but it's something that we also need to understand. Sometimes the problem we are facing is in terms of policy. It can be the policy that are made in a parliament, in our Kenyan government. It can be policy in our institutions. They can be very, very prohibitive. For example, let me give an example. If you have a disability and maybe you have been invited for a job opportunity and you have a disability, the policy should have statements all should be addressed maybe on how you're supposed to be accommodated. For example, for during interview, it should say maybe the interview should be, if is the interview for people with disability, should be on the accessible places. Maybe if you have someone with hearing impairment, they should provide a, an interpreter. Maybe it's a working hour. There are those people with disability who are not able to go to work every day. Like, how can they able to adjust their working hours so that at times they can work at home? Maybe because of logistics, maybe movement from one point to another. So those are the things that should be in policy. Maybe it's a personal assistant. Some of us, we need someone to help us to access the workplaces. Does your employer have a policies that can be able to accommodate your needs? Yeah. So we also those things should not be done based on the mercy, not based on pity, not based on how we know each other. It should be within the policy. Because, for example, if I am employed today, I'm employed and my boss is very, very understanding. Sometimes I request, when it's raining so much and I'm not able to access the office, I will request to work from home. Yes, at an repair, but what about when that person is no longer working that institution and maybe someone else come? What is going to guide them? You see, so that is another thing, that policy can be prohibitive, can be a barrier itself, if at all it doesn't have reasonable accommodation to you as a person with the disability. Okay. Yeah, talk back. That is the word that I was forgetting. The phone you use, the talk back for people with visual impairment, the one that read everything on your screen. Thank you so much, Anne, for letting me know that. So some of the barriers that we're experiencing is due to the policy barrier, because it's policies that help us to implement some of these things. But so if you don't have a policy that stipulates how those reasonable accommodation is going to be, then it becomes so hard for organization to be able to implement inclusion, yeah, or provide the reasonable accommodation. Let's go to the next, because I want to spend a lot of time here. Now, attitudinal barrier. So attitudinal barrier, let me see if there's somebody who have talked in the chat. I have a visual, this is Yegon. I have a visual impairment and accessing communication is a challenge if a picture are used rather than descriptive information. I agree. Politely explore kindly, if possible, to have a sign language session in communication barrier to different communication. Yes. Uh, Thank you so much, Grace. Grace is saying, I totally agree with you, Grace. Policy barrier is evident seen in the recruitment, of the NYS regarding age limit, which is 24 years, which hinders them to access the opportunities. So you see, now those are the things that are in barrier. Those are things that are prohibitive. And you see, for NYS, unless we advocate for reasonable accommodation in their policies, they will keep implementing what is in the policy. They have to adhere to their policy. Most of organizations will adhere to their policy, but we should be able to support them also to based on our needs. So let me talk about attitudinal barriers, and I want to spend most of the time here because it's our biggest challenge that we have as a persons with a disability. And I'll start saying that we whatever we do, how we react towards things and objects and people and everything is based on the attitude that we have. In Kenyan context, I don't know whether we have somebody from outside the Kenya, so that I don't keep on uh, using Kenyan context examples, but allow me to use Kenyan context examples. So all of us, we come from different community. There are those who come from Luya land, there are those who come from Kikuyu land, there are those people who come from Kamaland, and all of everything. And you see their culture there, that and there's a culture which is a way of life that we have we have grown in, and we found things happening in this certain way, and that's how we adopted, and we think that that's how things should be. That's how, because we found our parent doing, our grandparent were doing like that, so we grow in that environment, so we think that that's how things should be. But to be honest, most of the time it's totally wrong. Some of our culture, they are very, very discriminative when it comes to people with a disability. And I know all of us, we have something to say about it. Like, what is that thing in your culture that you feel like is a hindrance, not just to you, but people who are there. So maybe that's something that I would like us to hear. And if you're able to unmute, tell us where you come from and something, maybe observation you have made in your community. And I will start with one that I experienced some time back when I was training in Meru. I went in a certain community in Meru. You know, Meru, there's sub I don't know, how do they call it? There are sub tribe within the in Meru, and one of them, they were like, a child is born with a disability, they kill that child, or they take that child to the farthest forest, inside the forest, that deep in the forest, so that that child can be eaten by animals, if possible hyena, so that the child can't bring some misfortunes at home. So, like, for them, a child with a disability is a sign of something bad that will come after. So to curb that bad thing that will come, they kill a child. That is a culture. That is a way of life of those people. For them, they think that is the best thing to do. But look at it at a human right perspective. It's a violation of human rights. That child, in as much as that child has a disability, they have a right to live. You see, let me tell you another thing that happens there that I learned from there. And if you have a Meru, someone who is a Meru can tell us. I went somewhere and I learned that some people, where they plant mira, some people, they don't have hands. They have been cut their hands. And I asked why. I learned that when you go and steal mira, your hand will be cut as a way of punishment. But I think, in as much as stealing is a bad thing, but you have caused this person a disability and a permanent one. So it's a way of life. Yeah, think about it as a way of life, where for them they think that is the best thing. But if you look at it in a human right, because we want to focus this discussion in a human right perspective, you understand that is a violation of human rights. This person, you better take them to the police. They go through the charges and all that, rather than chopping off their hands and cause a permanent disability. So who is willing to tell us something that is happening in their community, and you feel like this is not the right person they should handle persons with a disability? I don't know whether I'm able to see all the hands. Jeremiah, you want to go
Hello.
first?
Hello.
Yeah. Jeremiah, tell us. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, according to our Bukusu culture. Hello. Yes,
Yes, we
in
can hear you.
Bukusu, especially in Bukusu, children with disabilities do suffer a lot, because in terms of education, they are excluded. If a family have around 6 children and one is with disability, they prefer the 5, and that one with disability, they prefer him being back, not to go to school, because they see that he is not worthy. So they prefer, in education, they prefer those that are not those children with no disabilities to go to school first and leave the one with disability behind. Even in inheritance, you are not entitled to get the same share as the others. That is a lot of challenges we are experiencing. And in education, most children with disabilities are locked maybe in a certain place. When the visitors came in that home, they lock you up. They lock these children behind so that the visitors can't see them. This is a challenge we are experiencing even now, but we are doing some mitigations to help that child, to help it out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for sharing that. We're talking about the attitude around disability in our communities. Yagon, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you very much, Grace. I want to believe everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Yes. I want to be quite elaborative when we talk about the barriers, especially the attitudinal barrier. And I want to start by saying that in the disability space, limitation is in imagination, because this is the space where we only need 2 things. We need opportunity and support. And when we get adequate support, the visually impaired like me can read and write, yet I'm blind. The physically impaired can move, yet he or she cannot walk. The hearing impaired can speak, but in real sense, he or she cannot talk. So we only need opportunity and space. So to go to attitudinal barrier, we have several myths and misconceptions in our communities. And I refer to this as retrogressive cultures that hinder our full participation in the activities. For example, number 1, in our community, people believe that disability is a curse. And if your child has got a disability, people believe that there is something wrong that you did that has resulted into your child being a child with disability. And people tend to hide these children under lock and key. And when people come to the home, these children cannot be seen. At the same time, people believe that when you have a child or when you have disability, this is a curse, and at the same time you can't be prayed for. Then you get healed. And they don't remember that disability is a condition that can only be managed and supported, but cannot be treated. This takes me to what we call the models. We have the medical model where people feel that disability can be treated, yet it is a condition. Then we have the religious model where some people think that a disability is something that can be prayed for because it is a curse from God or a curse from anything that somebody did, of which this is not true. Then we have what we call the social model, where some people believe that a disability belongs to a given society or a given community. For example, the deaf. They can say that, oh, this person with hearing impairment must be coming from this lineage. That's very wrong. Then charitable model. This is where I want to emphasize. Most of our government or the institutions believe that when you have disability, then you as the person who should just receive charitable support. Anything given to you is a charity, not your right, as opposed to what we should be having or what we should be focusing now, the human right-based model, where we must acknowledge any person with disability as a person who has got a right that has to be protected, a right that has to be adhered to. This is something that our institutions, the government, the policies, or the policy makers should know that if you are a person with disability, you have a right. And if you can get opportunity and support, you can achieve your full potential just like any other person. And therefore, this discussion is very important because it will make us inform the government or the institutions or any other person around us to know that we are just like any other person. The only thing we need from them is opportunity and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So profound. So profound indeed. Yes, actually, those three models shapes our attitude. That is medical model, the charity model, and now we have a human right model which we are implementing. Uh, yes, I agree with you that this is how people perceive us as people with a disability. And one thing I want you to know is that because maybe you're not, some of us are experiencing this barrier or this attitudinal barrier in a different levels. There are those who are fully affected by it. Some of us, we can be able, like Yegon, can speak about it. There are those who are not able to speak about it, especially children. We should be there to be able to support those communities to ensure that they are not denied their right, especially like right to life, right to education, right to love. They need to be loved and feel they are part and parcels of their community and their families. And how are we going to do this? Is by educating. Yeah, go on what you're doing right here. You escalated to your family, you escalated to those community, to the families that have people with disability. I wanted to share that the reason why we're talking about this attitude, because those myths and misconceptions, you know, in a shape, it shapes how those people treat us, how they perceive us, how the attitude associated with a disability are anchored to that. And I like giving my lived experience because I was born with a spina bifida. And when I was born with spina bifida, my parents didn't know. that I had a spina bifida because I was born in village. You know, those interior places, people do not know much about disability. They just know what Joseph they have shared. Like they know it as a curse. They know it as a burden. They know it as I don't know, as a bad thing. So when I was born, I was walking normally and everything was happening because I had no signs. But when I was around 9 years, I started developing mobility issues. So my dad consulted the doctors, and they were told they didn't know what was the cause of me not able to walk, because spina bifida occulta, there's a type of a spina bifida called occulta, is so mild that it's not visible to the X-ray that were available those days. So actually, spina bifida is just incomplete spinal cord. It means within your backbone there's a gap, but mine was a very small and it was affecting my mobility. So whenever I will go to Nyahururu Hospital for scan, for MRI, not MRI, for X-rays. Those days we used to do X-rays. They could not be able to identify it. So what was the solution at that time was to consult the preacher, as Yagon is talking about. And I remember at that tender age of 10 to 12, I was prayed for, and the preacher said that I had a spirit of rat. So I grew knowing that I had a spirit of rat. You can imagine. Actually, not spirit. Alisema I have a rat. So I could feel the rat in my body every time. Every time I have a stomachache, that's a rat. Every time I have a headache, it's a rat. And you know, if you come from village and you don't have this awareness we're having right now, you will believe it and believe it because you have no other way. You believe so and you live to know that. So these people who believe these things, it's not like they think they know that's how it should be. They know that's right. It is upon us to help them. And when I was growing up, I started now digging more about what is a spina bifida, what causes it, and all that. And that's how I was able to demystify everything that was happening. My parents, when they were told it's a spiritual things, or I was cast and I was put that rat, they started hiding me. I was locked in the house for almost 3 years. So those are the challenges we experience. I have experienced those challenges until when I met someone who took me what we are having today. And I was able to understand disability in a more human right way, and I learned how to speak for myself. I learned, and that's how I built the confidence. That's how I was able to go back to school. And I learned from class 3 again. I was already a teenager and to university. And I decided that I'll be speaking because I was so much affected. My family was so much affected. And it's something that we really need to take on, all of us, because we have this opportunity. We were given chance. We have given chance maybe to get education. We were given chance, some of us maybe to go to school, to go to work and all that. So we need to support our community so that we can Yegon. Nobody can see Yegon as a burden. He's a resource to the community. He's somebody with the skills and abilities that can not only support their families but support the country, that can support the world. They have something that we have to tap on it. When you're talking about employment, we are not going there to tell them, oh, help us, we have a disability, tunapitia shida mingi sana. No, we're going there because we have something to offer. Everyone is laughing. Yeah, that's how the language, some of us use it. And we need to stop it because it's a language of charity. And we do not want charity. We want platform. We want opportunities where we can use our skills, where we can use our abilities to impact, for company to grow. We have a lot to offer, and that is the mentality that we need even as we go to look for those opportunities. Think how you can bring change in your community. Think how you can make a company grow. Tell the CEO, this is what I'm offering. I'm not offering. I know, and I normally tell people with the disability, because I'm one of them, that disability is not a qualification for job. You need skills. You need competencies. You need to work on yourself. You need kujituma, as well as we use. That's the language we use in Kenya. Nobody will bring you opportunity on the table. Nobody. We have to compete. We have to compete with people without a disability in terms of even those job opportunity. What we need is for them to remove barriers and let us be. Yeah, let us, if they remove barriers, we can do what we can do based on what we can do and our abilities. So that is one of the attitudinal barriers, as a topic that I like exploring, because is this is the mother of all other barriers. Because if you have a wrong attitude, you can't tailor a program to suit people with the disability. You will create a program that do not have consideration of women, or of young people, or people with a disability, and so on. But if you have a right attitude, if you see the ability, if you see them as a resource, a human resource, then you're able to support them, necessary for them to be able to perform or to participate in whatever they are going to do on equal basis with the rest of the people. And again, something very important we want to bring in here. When you're talking about the removal of barriers, it's not a favor. It's anchored in the Sharia. Is something that within the law. And we're going to learn that next week, that we have a legal frameworks that we will use. Unaenda tu kusema here says there's a law that that is put in place to protect our rights. And to ensure that we are getting these opportunities and services as young people with the disability, as women with the disability, because we experience another layer of barriers. Yeah, girls in the house, we experience maybe these barriers because we are young people. There are those challenges young people experience. Saizi tunaitwa Gen Z, na kuna venye saizi Gen Z wameshakuwa labeled. Yeah, that's a challenge. It's a barrier. Again, you're going through because a barrier because you're a woman, you are a person with a disability. You cannot able to access places, you are not able to access information, maybe you are not, all these things. Again, if you're a woman, you have another layer of a barrier. So we have to strategize ourselves on how to speak for ourselves and to tap on the opportunities that are there for us, and not to give up. Because if we give up, we don't just give up for ourselves, we give up for other children who are below us, who will be born with a disability. We are here to ensure that we create that enabling environment, so that wakikuja watapata a better policies, watapata a better infrastructure that we found it. So it's for us to advocate for us. And maybe just a food for thought, think about the affordable house. Sijui kama mumeenda kupata the affordable house, or you have a plan to get affordable house, because these are the government services that you're supposed to tap in, but are we able to access those services really? You see, those are the things that as young people tunafaa kuwa we are talking about. In case the government comes with a program for us, let's look at it. Is it inclusive? If not inclusive, we will not sit and watch, because we will not access them, and we also, other people will not be able to access them. So we have a lot of work to do as disability inclusion champions in our communities. Yes, I don't want to talk much about attitude, but you see, we have to keep on talking about it and demystifying these myths and misconceptions and the beliefs that are prohibitive to us. We can go next. This another things that I want to talk about is disability etiquette. And I like talking about this topic, especially to people with the disability, because once we do not understand how we need to be supported, then we will not help other people without disability to understand how they will support us. First, we need to understand, as someone with visual impairment, how is the best way to, how can I get better, how can I get a better support? What kind of support do I need? You need to understand yourself first. For example, maybe someone with a visual impairment, how do you like to be kushikwa mkono? There's a way you hold a hand over someone when you're walking along the road, or when you're guiding someone with the visual impairment. What is the best way for yourself, so that somebody doesn't mishandle you, somebody doesn't go touching you anywhere anyhow? So how best can we be able to to help other people without a disability supporters. Let me give an example of my personal experience. When I'm in Nairobi, I mostly experience this in Nairobi, and maybe I'm seated somewhere, you find that people comes and start pushing me, because for them they think because I'm on wheelchair and I'm going this direction, or maybe I'm standing, their mind is like, I need support. That person is very right. They do that with a lot of love and with a lot. It's not like they have bad thing in their heart. They just want to support, but they just come and start pushing me. And you see in the lobby, sometimes you feel like this is somebody want to kidnap me. What is going on? And then you're like, no, please, please. Acha tukusaidia. Nyinyi watu wako na disability, sometimes mtakai you see, it's good kusaidia mtu. It's good to support someone, but again, it could be best if you can ask me, oh, Grace, or if they don't know, hello, how are you? What's your name? I'll tell Grace, how do you want to be supported? How can I support you? Because first, they don't first even ask whether we need support. They just want to support. And that is the charity model, that we're just there to be supported. Yes, we need support here and there, but also they should ask us, like, how can I support you? So that you don't, you don't know even where I'm going. I need first to tell you, my name is Grace. This is how you will hold. I need to be wheeled with this speed for me to feel safe. This is the direction. This is where I'm going. You have not even asked. Just because you saw me looking that direction, you've just made an assumption that I need support. It's good to understand also, like, we need, even as we get this kind of a support, the support must come in a, but they need to be, we need to get that support in a way we feel most safe, even as we get the support. So it's a part of disability etiquette. How we address people, how do they call us? How do we call ourselves as well? We need to understand these things. So I understand that we have so many terminologies in which we call ourselves, or we call people with a disability, or you like to be called. And on our chat box, you can just type the name, of how do we refer to people with a disability. And because it's going to also it's a part of disability etiquette, actually. How do we refer to people with a disability? And I'll give an example as you type on the chat box and as you raise your hands. People call us disabled, and the Joseph and the other guy talked about the negative attitude and the people have towards us. They call us disabled. Do you think this terminology, sometimes they call us people who are differently abled, they call us, those terminology? Kindly text me so that I don't speak alone. You can unmute and say it as well, those terminology, because it's one of the things that also have been used to discriminate people with a disability. I normally say that language that we use, or the language that people use towards people with disability, is a tool that drives discrimination and prejudices. Because when you call me disabled, what do you mean? What do you mean? How disabled am I actually? That I'm disabled. Have you ever thought of a phone which is disabled? A phone, if you say a phone is disabled, and I know if we have somebody who is from Lowland, they are very good in English, can help us in these terminologies. If you call me disabled, like many people call me disabled, and sometimes I end up correcting that, because how disabled am I, like, seriously? Because if you say this phone, or I say my laptop is disabled, I mean, I can't open that laptop. The word cannot do. Maybe if I'm using the apps on it cannot work. Or you say, if I say this phone is default, it means you can't call using that phone. It means you can't text, you can't get M-Pesa, you can't do anything. So is this the best terminology that we want to be referred as people with a disability? Among other terminologies, is we just brainstorming together. Kuna mtu amesema special abilities. Let me read them. I'm going to check on those people who have raised their hands. So able differently, walemavu. Most people call kilema disabled. Mwenda wazimu for people with intellectual disability. There's not something like mwenda wazimu. Those people, they have intellectual disability. Disabled, wenye uatilifu. I'm not very good in Swahili. Uatilifu, I don't know uatilifu. Common interest. Nowadays, they use called a common interest people. Hey, this is very interesting. Lack of, okay. So we have those terminologies that they refer to people with the disability. Somebody had hands on, maybe you can unmute so that when I'm talking about it, I can include everything. Mlemavu, akili punguani. So very bad terminology. Yeah. You
Hi.
can unmute.
Okay.
Yes, Jojo.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So, I'm seeing in the chat box a lot of terms, the English na Kiswahili that people do not like to be associated with. And there is one that I prefer, but ninaiona kwa chat box. So, I prefer to be termed as a disabled person.
Mm.
Usirushe mawe.
Yeah,
I
we're
know
not using that.
I know most people do not like that term. Most people with disabilities do not like the term disabled, but that is what I prefer to
Yeah.
be referred as, because for me it is an identity, and it is kind of political to me, because when I dig deep and I look at the term that is mostly preferred, which is people with disabilities or a person with a disability, it feels like a euphemism, like, I don't know, like it is a term that is distancing the person from the disability, which in turn makes the whole thing not serious, whereas it is actually serious. And when you say disabled, I think it gives it the weight that it deserves, that this is a person who deserves accessibility. This is a person who deserves to be thought about when policies are being made, and when things are being put out, they are kept in mind. I don't know, that is how I look at it. I know for most people, when the term disabled inakaa mbaya, but for me, it is the best term to be used for persons living with disability, because of the political aspect of it, or the sense of the identity that comes with it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Jojo. And I get where you're coming from. Very well. Someone else before
Thank
we
you.
discuss.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joseph Yongo, not Yego, Yongo from Homa Bay County.
Okay.
And I believe I've made that a correction. When we are talking about disability etiquette, this is something that we need to emphasize on, because when we don't emphasize on it, it brings a lot of stigmatization on ourselves. For example, to follow the disability etiquette, we are supposed to mention the person before his or her disability. But you realize that so many people put disability before a person, which is quite retrogressive. I would like to be called a person who is able differently, or Joseph Yongo, who is visually impaired. Unlike when you say blind Joseph Young or blind a man, that one is quite retrogressive and it brings a lot of stigma. Another thing that people normally use, especially to me, I'm visually impaired. When we go to the hotel and I've got my sighted guide, the person serving me would come and ask my guide that, so huyu atakula nini? So that is quite wrong. That is a lack of etiquette, because it is only my sight that cannot enable me see things, but other parts of the body are functional. So many people think that if you are a person with this disability, then you are up to the brain. The brain is totally disabled. The term that I don't want us to use, disabled. Disabled would mean that you can't do anything. You are under their mercy. Some
Thank you.
people, again, normally use this term that appears to be retrogressive, that people living with disability. We don't live with disability. We are
Thank you so much,
persons
Joseph.
with disability. Because when we
Thank
say
you.
people living would mean that in your room, you are there and there is a disability in your room again. So these terms, we should avoid them so that we avoid stigma, because
Thank you so
they
much.
bring a lot of stigma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jagon, for that. Joseph, let me use Joseph instead of Jagon. Let me use Joseph. I'm very sure I will not confuse Joseph. Thank you. I don't know whether I have there's somebody else's hands is up so that I'm not able to see everybody. Is there anyone else? I believe not. So I have seen so many terms here on the chat box. Allow me to read, maybe for people with visual impairment or anybody who need that support. Queen, your hands is up. Okay. So specially abled. That's a term. Kuna able differently, kuna walemavu, kuna most people call kilema, mwenda wazimu, mwenye uatilifu. Huyu ni mtu mwenye anajua Kiswahili mzuri. Disabled, people of common interest people. Yeah. Right terms, akili pungwani, people of determination, PWD, physically challenged. Yeah. Able differently. Okay. So let me say this. We are people to put the pace. So all of those names, one, they are made, some of them, they are made to make us feel, I don't know what, like to feel like we are important, and from the word go we are. So why should you make me feel, tell me with the terminology that makes me feel like, I don't know, make me feel happy or better? Like it's like you I don't know how to bring this, but you see this soft word, we call them soft words. Able differently, people of special, we call ourselves watu vitu mingi sana. There's a lot of terminology allowed there. But let me say this. If you call me disabled, the word disabled is the one that has caused a lot of problems, because people do, in as much as you will use it for advocacy, which is okay, and we do not want to run from the reality that we are experiencing barriers. But the fact that you're experiencing barriers, we need to focus on removal of barriers, not focus on the disability itself, or not to focus on impairment itself. We want our community, our society, to think around barriers, not to think around me as a disabled person, as they call us. You see, when you started talking about disabled, it's me, Grace, who is disabled. It's like me who mwenyewe sijiwezi. And I would like to let us know that the word itself has made us to think that people with disability cannot be able to do some of these things. As Joseph has said that, in as much as I'm not able to walk, and that is okay, and I have agreed, I am okay with that, I have accepted, I'm not in denial, I cannot be able to walk, but my hands are working. My hands are hands can work, my brain can work, my eyes are able to work. The same with the Joseph and or other people with different impairment. I may not be able to see, but I can walk, I can think. You should not just generalize that I'm a disabled. Because tumesema language is a very strong tool that drives discrimination and prejudices itself. Hiyo tu ndio ina shape how you will make the policy. That attitude will make you not to remember there are other people. You need to provide a reasonable accommodation in case you have a program or event or anything. So we need to think ourselves and to see ourselves in terms of ability and not disability, because we are using the human right perspective. And let me tell you, most of the people who have disability, they have so many things that they can do best, and that is a fact. It's not like I'm trying to make us feel better, to make us feel good. We have skills, we have abilities, we have everything that it takes. Because, for example, who have done an IT, for example, course here at EBU, that person does not need a leg to perform. They just need their laptop. Maybe they need place kuna Wi-Fi. They need that enabling environment for them to function, and they are good to go. So what will hinder them from accessing that opportunity is maybe the building they are in is not accessible. Maybe the laptop is not well. They do not have technology that will help them to do to function properly. If maybe they have a visual impairment. So let's focus on ability, because if you keep on focusing on disability, we are promoting the charity model. Charity model, Joseph explained, because I don't want to go back. Charity model says that we're just there to be supported. We need pity. For sure, we do not need pity. We are just like other people. Only that in our daily life, we experiencing barrier. So if these barriers can be removed, if these people can remove negative attitude, if people without disability can remove, and ourselves as well, can remove communication barriers, if they can remove policy barriers, then we can do what other people can do. Because, and I give this example at the first where I said, Grace, I have a disability. I'm experiencing physical barriers and attitudinal barriers most of the time. So if I go to town, all of us were going to town. Maybe Anna metuitia meeting town, maybe Nairobi. And the meeting, iko 4th floor. Other people will use the stairs who are able to use the stairs. And those who are not able to use the stair will use the ramp or lift. But by the end of the day, is for all of us to be in that 5th floor and participate in the meeting. So what is the biggest issue here? It's not our impairment. The issue is the barriers that we're experiencing. If we can focus on removal of barriers and the abilities that we have as people with disability, that's all. We're not here to see that we can do everything. Even people without disability, there's what they are able to do, and there's what they are not able to do. Elvis, who is here, Elvis doesn't have a disability, but Elvis is very good in IT and I think graphic design and all those things. That is good. But maybe Elvis is not very good in facilitating such a session or disability inclusion. Mbona hatusemi Elvis akona disability? I don't know whether we are together. We need to think big. Like some people without a disability, they have what they are not able to do. They do not have some abilities. We do not call them people with a disability, but they call us people with disability. So let's focus on the fact that we are people and we have ability, all of us. People without a disability, they have ability. People with a disability, they have abilities. But for us, people with a disability, we are experiencing some levels of barriers. So if those levels of barriers can be removed, we can be able to function like other people on what we know or what is or based on our abilities. You're getting what I'm saying? I hope we are clear that we need to focus on ability of people with disability and also removal of barriers. Otherwise, we can do what we can do. I don't mean we can do everything. We cannot do everything, but kila mtu, and this is the nature, it's not because we have a disability or anything. People they have different abilities. Not everybody can do everything. Some people can do very well in some areas, other people cannot do very well in some other, not because they have a disability or they do not have a disability. It's the nature. But for us, we need to think about how can we help people not to think us as disabled, not to think us in a charity model. Yeah, so let me focus on what are the best terminology to call people with disability. The first terminology is persons with whichever impairment. Because tulisema, it's okay to have impairment, just the way it's okay to be born a woman. It's okay to be born as a Kikuyu or a Kalenjin. It's okay because that is our human diversity. So people with impairment, you can attach people with hearing impairment, people with visual impairment, but people first. Because first we are human, then disability comes as a second thing. Number two, I like what Joseph you said. Let's be called according to our names. I'm Grace. In case someone doesn't know your name, help them to understand their name. My name is Grace, so that they don't start calling me msichana mwenye ako kwa wheelchair, msichana mwenye haoni, msichana mwenye anatembeaga hivi na hivi. You know how they call you guys. They help them understand that you have also name, because what happened and the reason why they call out this name, it's because of how they call according to how we look like, and then they do not understand that you have a right to own a name. You don't have to describe me. Sasa uende ukisemaga, for example, people without disability, like if I get someone who is a heavyweight, atiwezi kusema huyu mtu ni mnono, huyu mtu mkonde. You see, it's not even acceptable. It's not acceptable. You just call them their names, and just the way they are, appreciate that diversity instead of labeling them according to how they look like. So that is according to human rights perspective, that if you must name someone according to their disability, start with the person first. Don't call me disabled. About his special abilities and all that, it's just a name to make us feel good, or I don't know what. It's not worth it. We are just human beings like anybody else, only that we experience barriers. But if we remove those barriers, we can be able to operate like other people in the areas that we are able to operate. So disability etiquette, I think I have talked about this, and the importance of it, it promotes respect and it promotes dignity according to the human rights standards. So I think I have talked about this. We can go next. Avoid those terms. Avoid those soft terms. It's not worth it. It's a charity model terms. At people with different abilities. Other people without a disability also have those abilities. Nobody. When you call me special, for example, we are two sisters in our home, and you start calling me special. How special am I? Even my sister is special as well. You see, the problem with this model of charity, it makes us to concentrate only on people with a disability and forget about other people's. And it causes to have what you call entitlement. You see, entitlement is where you feel like I'm the only one. I'm the center of the everything. But we have other people. We have other people also with the disability, different disability. We have, when you think in human rights, you don't just think about you. You think about everybody. You need to understand your needs and communicate them based on your needs and how you want to be supported, with the mindset of that there are other people who have the rights. Yeah, sitaki tuende tukiambiwa watu wa disability, sijui kama isikia watu wa disability wanajipenda, watu wa disability, it's how we communicate sometimes. Watu wa disability wako na hasira, kama ni hasira, si kila mtu ako na hasira. Hakuna mtu hana hasira. Everybody, and something else maybe I want to communicate to us is that we have personalities. Apart from having a disability, we also have personality. So when people are saying that tuko na hasira, also people without disability, they have hasira. Everybody needs a level of emotional intelligence. All of us, even as we interact, because we have personality. Some of us we are kind, some of us we are not kind. Those character and personality not based on not because we have them, not because we have disability, but we have emotions. If somebody does something wrong to you, I don't expect unyamaze, lazima ukasirike. You are a human. If somebody violates your rights, sometimes you have to react. If somebody causes you pain as a person with disability, it should not labeled at people with disability wakona anger. Because from the word go, we are human. We are human. We react as human. Just that. So people without disability, we need to help them not to remove us from the bracket of people. Like kuna watu na kuna watu wenye wako na disability. So let's I know I have talked something there, and if you agree with me, you can give me a thumbs up so that I know whether we are together, that we are human beings, we have personality, or we have rights, and other people as well, they have rights. Again, we need to focus on human right perspective. And when we're focusing on human right approach, we remember we have other people with the disability, not just like ours. Maybe kuna watu wako na visual different impairments, and also people without disability, they have rights as well, so that we are not put in a corner fulani. Thank you so much for that. So appropriate language. This one I'm going to be very fast. Visual, how are we supposed to call people with a disability, and which terms are we going to? Thank you, Gida, for Waidaka, Dungari for thumbs up. Thank you so much. Visual impairment. We have the blind. They called you, and this one has been said by Joseph. So how are we supposed to call people with disability? Persons with, person who is blind, person who have a visual impairment, for example. Kuna wale wako na low vision and all that. So next, person first. Hearing impairment. Some people call people with the disability of hearing dumb. Dumb is a very retrogressive terminology. Ama invalid, like invalid. Just term itself, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't promote dignity of a person or respect. So persons with the disability, person with hearing impairment, person who are deaf. I was interacting with the community of person with hearing impairment, and they told me that they prefer to be called, it's okay for them if you call them deaf. I don't know whether we have some who is a deaf here who can tell us the same, but they prefer to be called deaf. Next, I want to finish in next 5 minutes also. Next, learning disability. This is where we have a problem. And the reason why we have a problem with the learning disability, because it's one of the disabilities that is not visible. So one of the things that they experience, the terminology, a wrong terminology they experience, is when we call them retarded. Imagine how you call these people are called retarded, like a maize. You see, when maize is not growing very well, you start saying, and these maize are retarded. In as much as they have this impairment, there's a way they can learn, there's a way they can understand, but in their own way. I wish we focus on understanding their own way of learning, of understanding, of doing things, and support them to do those things in a way they are able to do it. We do not have to like things have to be done always in that particular way. They have their way of doing things. Some people call them brain damaged, dumb, or slow. Slow is a very bad terminology, especially used in school. You find teachers saying, this learner is very slow. So the best terminology is for persons with learning disability. Remember, they can learn in their own way, even if it is to learn how to brush their teeth. That is achievement. They have learned. Maybe they learn how to write or draw something, maybe to play a music instrument. Those are the abilities they have. They don't have to be professors, but whatever they are able to do, if we need to support, they need to be supported, and they are able to do it. People with psychosocial disability, those including wale wako na au tulikuwa wanaitwa wenda wazimu and all that. Those people, sometimes they are called crazy, mad, insane, lunatic, mental, psychopossessed, nuts, hypersensitive, and sometimes Those who are in church, sometimes they call they are possessed, like they have demons or something. They have been labeled that way so much. But they are human beings. They are our sisters. They are our brothers. They need care. They need to feel out. They need to feel cared. They need food. They need clothing. They need to live in a dignity life like everybody else. So if there's a way we can support them, advocate for them, the better. Mental, the best way is to refer them as a person with psychosocial impairment, all their names. Epilepsy, sometimes they are called epileptic. You are an epileptic person. I wish we can call by their names and understand how best we can support them. The best term is person with epilepsy. Next, I'm trying to highlight the bad names so that we try to remove them and help our community to remove them. People who are people of short statures, watu wanawaita dwarf. Yes, thank you so much, Joseph. The short teachers, they are called dwarf, is little man, woman, magnet. Those are the words, but the best way is to call person of short teachers, or you can call them Joseph, Monica, just according to their names. Let's not make them feel like we want to focus so much on their impairment. Speech, some people call them mute. Imagine mute, dumb, tongue-tied. But the best way is to say persons with speech impairment or refer them to their names. People with multiple impairment, deaf, blind, dumb, deaf and dumb, deaf, mute, invalid, especially those invalid, they are not good. So you can person with deaf, blind impairment. We have cerebral palsy. Sometimes they are called retarded, deformed, just because their hands are not like yours. People feel like they are deformed, and all that. We can just call persons with cerebral palsy, person with albinism, and not albino, ama mzungu. I'm saying this one about mzungu, it depends also on how you are relating with that person. Some of them wanasema unajua mimi ni mzungu. Yeah, so if at all you feel like they're not okay to be called mzungu, avoid calling them. But I have seen where sometimes they interact with other people and they're okay with that. But I feel we can use the universal standard. Next. And so at this point, we've learned a lot. I want someone to tell us if you have a takeaway that you have taken home. I do have talked a lot. Yes, I thank you so much, Lillian. Lillian is here. Good, Lillian. They prefer to be called deaf. It's okay for them. Even if you don't add a person, they're okay to be called deaf. And Lillian, I would like to tell us, if you're able to tell us, why do you like to be called deaf? I know there's a conversation around there, but you can also help us to understand that. And thank you so much to make us understand you're okay with the deaf, and that's how we will refer to you. So thank you so much. At this point, I know we have learned a lot on how to include ourselves, to understand ourselves, and also how we can support other people to understand, to support us, and also how we can support our community to do away with the barriers, and also remove those myths and misconceptions. Because one thing we need to understand is that for them, it's okay. For them, they know that's the best way to call us, to treat us. So we need to help promote to promote respect, to promote action that to promote respect, to promote dignity, and also to protect the right of persons with disability for us and also other people. So at this point, I want to give us 2 minutes so that you tell us, actually one, to tell us what you've learned, just one takeaway. Then I'll hand over to Elvis. That one thing you have learned. There's let me read the text. You can text, and also you can unmute. allow me to read the Naftali. It's a very long one. Naftali is saying, my name is Naftali Muigai, a visually impaired individual writing to express my concern regarding the current state of disability inclusion and representation. I know this, Naftali, your inquiry, I hope you can get my number so that we can have a lot of conversation around that. I'm going to leave my contact so that we can talk more because the time is very limited. So who is ready to unmute and tell us what they have learned? Just one takeaway, just one, so that we can give at least 5 people or 6. Just one. I have learned that barrier can only be erased if the impairment are represented in the policy rooms. Kabisa. Very true. Someone else? My takeaway, nothing about us without us on the table, and therefore we need to be included, engaged in all levels of conversation so that we realize an inclusive way. Yeah, so that they can tailor everything according to the needs, not according to how they think it should be. Yeah, thank you. Is there a way we can all connect online and further those conversations? Yes, and that's why we have Uamuzi, and in partnership with EBU. So that's why we are here. We are brought together here by EBU and Uamuzi, and I believe this conversation will keep on going. Yeah. Yes. I'm waiting for a comment, one more, or somebody to unmute. Is your hands up? Queen, your hands up is up? Joseph, Queen.
Yes.
Yeah, you can talk.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My takeaway in this session is that it was on the communication barrier, where you have taught us that many persons with hearing impairment, but communication barrier can also affect and usually affects persons with psychosocial impairment and some other impairments. So we should always think broader and consider each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my takeaway and also a comment on today's episode. First and foremost, I want to thank you very much, Grace, for taking us through this very important session. Number 2, I said or I wrote something that nothing about us without us on the table. We need to be engaged at all levels of this discussion. And in this regard, I want to put a request because people believe that persons with disability or persons with impairment are not educated. We have skills, and they should focus on our skills before they focus on our disability. How I wish that we engage one another so that we find opportunities for our people. We are educated, but in our job places, we are getting what we call the quantity appointment. Quantity appointment as opposed to quality appointment. Quality appointment would mean that we need to be appointed at all levels of work or the leadership, not just quantity, where we are given some smaller duties or the junior appointments like clerks or something that's seeing it as a help to us. We are qualified because persons with disability, we have those with PhDs, we have those with masters, we have those with degrees and other qualifications. And when we come to employment, we are being considered for junior positions because they view it as a charity, as a support to us. Yet we need to get even higher appointments because of our qualifications and the skills that we have. So how I wish that Uamuzi Foundation, we hold hands together to ensure that our people are given quality appointments and are connected to job opportunities that can help us leverage on social justice and support our families because we have a duty on our shoulders. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else who hands is up? Okay, so I know there are many questions on the chat box. Is someone talking?
Yes, this is Anne.
Oh, welcome, Anne.
I wanted to so my takeaway in this lesson is we are supposed to use correct terminology when we have persons with disabilities. And for example, we are not supposed to see someone's disability before we see the person. Thank you.
Yes, that's very correct. I'm trying to trace. There are many texts here. Everyone is unique and different from one another, and that's our personality, not a disability. Very good. Yes, we have to understand also we are human beings. There's no difference. Somebody is amesema also that if we can work on policy, then we'll be good to go. Yeah, so you are a part of women and leadership. You were a part of, I don't know what you mean by that. I participated in different programs. We can talk inbox. If you have something, maybe you feel like we can talk inbox. I'm very, very available for that discussion, and also to appreciate the institute and Uamuzi, which I work for as well, for giving us this opportunity to always be having this conversation. Disability is a very wide space, so it's not possible to learn in one day. And again, we always learn from each other. There's something that you can always inform us, especially on the best practices. So thank you so much. Someone else has learned disability in activity impairment. Disability, we learned about disability, limits in activity impairment, loss of functioning, physical, and yeah, so thank you so much for all of your comments. People, I think you meant people with a disability have talent as well. That is very good. All of us, we have abilities. It doesn't matter the type of a disability that you have, we have abilities. Yeah, I have also learned, somebody else have learned about disability etiquette. Thank you so much. Jojo have shared, I think, our WhatsApp. Maybe Anne will guide us on how to connect us all. Thank you so much, Grace. I really appreciate. Thank you for the flowers. And next time we are going to learn about disability legal frameworks, because now that we have all this information, how are we going to support our our community? What tools do we have that can help us to hold account as well? And tulisema hatutatumia the throwing stone approach. We want to use the legal frameworks to advocate for inclusion in all our spaces that we have, because we have rights, and we have also affirmative action put in place for us. So we need to advocate using the legal frameworks. Thank you so much for those who are saying. We will see you next time. But before then, I would like to invite Elvis so that can finalize. Kuna mtu ameuliza, how can I join Uamuzi? So that one is going to be answered by Elvis, who is also a CEO at Uamuzi. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Wow. Thank you so much, Grace. This has been so amazing. I've really enjoyed it. You know, one thing with Grace is she can talk and talk and talk. You know, and I feel like 2 hours has not been enough time for her. You know, it got to a point you could just feel that she was rushing because of time. But you know, even given half a day, she can just talk and talk. And one thing you can always take from her is she's really knowledgeable when it comes to this topic. You know, just she's talking from experience, and also she's talking from a lot of knowledge. So if you can be able to just connect with her, she does this on a larger capacity. So if you can be able to just connect with her, you know, you one thing I can assure you is you're going to learn a lot. I also want to say for me, my take home is you know, not all disabilities are visible. And also for me, I can talk from also for my personal experience. You know, myself, I'm dyslexic. For those who don't know, dyslexia, it's a learning disability. It's a learning impairment, not disability. It's a learning impairment, and it's something that I've really been battling for a very long time because when I was born, for me, I'm naturally a left-handed person. And you see, you know, when you are young, there was this stereotype where people never liked, you know, when you are born a left-handed, you know, our parents never really liked it. So my mom really used to force me to write using my right hand. And you see, in life, people who are left-handed, they usually use the right side of their brain and vice versa. So for me, being forced to use my right hand, I really blamed. I really thought that my mom messed up with my mind, because you see, now the thing with dyslexia is whenever you learn, you read, sometimes you just see words, you know, you just see words moving from here to there. You might see something written like now, and you read it as one, you know, just words. They don't make sense, you know, like just words move and dance in your eyes. So for a very long time, I told anyone about this, because you know, I told myself, you know, even if I come and tell you, whenever I read, I just see my own things. You cannot really get what I'm saying. But it's until I think about 5 years ago when I was watching this movie. It's a Kenyan movie. Those who love watching movies, you can go look it up on Netflix, called Just in Time. And there was this guy who was now he was left with a young kid, and was told, this kid told this guy, can you read for me this book? And now this guy was very hesitant. Then later on, he told this young girl that, you know, I can't read because I'm dyslexic. Then I was like, what is this? So that's when I was able to now go read, get to know more about dyslexia. And yeah, nowadays I'm confident to tell people, you know, I'm dyslexic. It was something that I really struggled with. But also, by me getting to learn more about it, I realized that, you know, the best brains in this world are people with dyslexia. Yeah, the best innovations come from people with dyslexia. And yeah, nowadays I talk about it. Nowadays I just tell people, you know, yeah, when it comes to reading, I'm not good when it comes to reading, but for me, I learn a lot from listening. I'm a very good listener, so I get my information from listening to podcasts and just listening to audio books. I do a bit of reading, but not, you know, I cannot just say that I'm bored, let me take a book and read. But listening, I do a lot of listening. Yeah. So that is my personal story. And I'm sure there are many people who can now come out and, you know, talk about dyslexia, because right now with information, access to information, and you know, people can now know about dyslexia. It's easy for people to now even see how they can be able to bring dyslexic learning into our curriculum, because you know, you cannot just judge everyone using the same criteria in school. Because for me, even when it comes to school, I never put any effort in class, because things never used to, if I can take a book and read a whole page, but now when I turn to the next page, I realize that there's nothing that I've really grasped in that page. So I have to reread that page again. You see, now that's double effort. And so, yeah, nowadays I like to create awareness just to tell people, ensure that now when it comes to school, let us use different ways of evaluation. Don't just evaluate people using, the old traditional means. Yeah. So this session has been really good, just to learn and understand more about disability. Next week, we are going to have the second session, that is now the legal framework. And I am sure now that one is even going to be more fun. Can't wait to also have you guys attend that session. I'm also going to tell you more about Uamuzi, especially our digital platform. Or as you can see, that is just a screenshot of our application. It's a civic tech platform where we are bridging the gap between our elected and aspiring leaders and the young people at every level of governance. So we realize that for as much as currently we are using, platforms like TikTok and X and Facebook for us to have a conversation, these platforms, they were built for us to have to communicate between friends, families, and colleagues, for entertainment and fun. And also we've seen a surge in political engagements on this platform. Even when you talk about our 2024 reject finance bill protest, the conversation started on our digital platforms. So what we've done, and we realized that, these platforms, they give us an opportunity for us to have a national conversation. So what we decided to do with Uamuzi is we've decentralized this conversation all the way to the grassroots. So when you sign up, you can be able to have a national conversation, but also you can be able to have a county level conversation, because now you see, with our devolved governance, we have our national and county level governments. So now with Uamuzi, now we can be able to have this conversation all the way to the ward level, which is now the grassroots level. And I believe I can talk more about it during our next conversation, and also just to see how best we can be able to now connect, how best we can be able to even work together. We do a lot of youth projects across the country. So I believe these are opportunities that we can also just be able to engage and see how we can work together. For me, I believe when you walk alone, you'll walk fast, but when you walk with others, you'll walk far. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you so much to EBU, especially to Dr. Muli, and also to Anne. For those who joined earlier, you saw the video that we got featured on Citizen. That was in 2024. And that's when I was able to connect with EBU. So fun fact is, I had reached out to Dr. Muli. I think about 2018, thereabout. I had seen his work, very influential person. And I really thought that I would learn a lot from him, just having him as a mentor, having him as someone to walk with me in this journey. I felt like he was someone that I would really want to connect and have a conversation with. But God's timing is always the best. So we never got to connect then. And when he saw my interview on Citizen, he reached out to me on LinkedIn and he was like, "Hey, you guy, I like what you're doing, and I feel like Uamuzi and EBU can be able to now synergize and do a lot together." And for the 2 years that we've been in partnership, one thing I can say is it has been such a blessing. One thing that EBU does is they usually give us courses to give to young people, fully funded courses to give to young people. So I usually just distribute those courses all within my network and within other people's networks. So I believe that even as we are able to connect beyond this seminar, I feel like those are some of the opportunities that you guys can be able to also just take advantage of and see how we can, just be able to have a very positive impact out there. Yeah, so thank you so much. I don't want to take so much of your time. I know it's past 1. We've done 2 hours. So I think at this point, I just want to invite Anne. I don't know if Anne, you're around, just to close it up for us, and then we call it a day. So thank you so much, and thank you for making time. And let's connect and meet next week. Be blessed.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Elvis. Also, thank you so much, Grace, for the lovely session. And also, thank you to everyone who participated, sent in the chat, unmuted, and just been present and listening. It made a very wholesome and inclusive discussion where I'm sure everyone has learned something. So I won't make it long. As Elvis has said, it's already been 2 hours what we had scheduled. So thank you for remaining in the session, and hope we have learned something. We'll be having the second session in the coming week. We'll share, the Zoom link will be the same, that won't change, just to point that out. But I will be putting out a reminder and just place the link again. But what I'll do following after the session in the course of the day, I'll send the recording. If you'd like to share this with a friend, if you'd like to just go through it again yourself, this will be available. But we'll also provide a feedback form. Want to know your experience? Is there something, especially because we have a second session coming up, let's involve you in creating that and preparing that. As we prepare for the next session, want to hear what was your experience today. Are there any other topics you'd like to hear us address, and so on? So we'll send that. We'll also provide more information. I've taken note of some of the questions that are coming up, so I'll try to put together a very detailed email. But with that said, thank you everyone. Thank you, Uamuzi, for working with EBU on this. And thank you everyone who joined and participated, and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Queen.
Thank you. Hi, Grace. Thank you for the nice presentation.
Welcome.